Howdy there, people of the internet. It's me again, Will. So, today I wanted to talk to you about Josh Duggar and his actual appeal process. Now, I've purposely waited on making this video until I could speak with an attorney who is familiar with the federal appeals process and how it actually goes about, so I can make sure that I understood it correctly so I can explain it to you. But they finally filed the actual appeal, the first part of the appeals process. They finally started it. Not after one, not after two, not after three, but after four separate extensions to be able to file it. They finally filed it. And that first part is called a brief. And in the brief, it outlines why you're filing the appeal, what you think was wrong with the case. This is what the brief is. The second part of the actual process is now the prosecuting attorney's office. This, in this case, would be the federal government. They get the right to respond to that brief, and then after that has been done, then the entire thing is set on the actual docket to be heard for the first part of the appeal. But in their actual brief, it's called a brief, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not very brief. It's actually 64 pages in length, and it is very winded, and their explanations of it all. But I've tried to boil it down to the four main parts of what he's actually filing the appeal under. So let's start with the first part. Josh Duggar is arguing, through his attorneys, are arguing that his constitutional rights were violated and that he was not afforded the option to shut the hell up and get an attorney. When they actually questioned him, they kept it, and they recorded every moment of the conversation. And in that audio recording, he asked Josh Duggar, in his voice, you can clearly hear him say, "Is this something I'm going to need an attorney for?" The FBI agent who is sitting next to him in the vehicle says, "Yes, this is a very serious case that we're investigating here. You will probably need an attorney," or something to that effect. But Josh didn't shut up. He just kept on talking. He asked if he needed an attorney. They never, kept on questioning him after he said he wanted an attorney. So it's not really a violation of his constitutional rights. He asked an open question. They gave him an answer to his question. He kept on incriminating himself even further into the actual case itself, and giving up evidence that was going to be used against him in the actual court case itself. Mainly that, where he tried to play off that he was dumb and didn't know anything about computers, when in all actuality, everybody who has been around Josh Duggar or the Duggar family or the television series, either one of the two, knew that Josh Duggar was a technical wizard when it came to computers, setting up networks, partitioning hard drives, and setting up these individual networks. He was paid as a consultant, and did this stuff. And he went to actual conferences where he showed other people within the actual Christian, fundamentalist movement how to set up their own networks. But yet, the day of the FBI raid, he tried to play it off like, "I don't know anything about this stuff. I don't know how to use firewalls and partitioned hard drives," which obviously came out in court and hurt him greatly, because they could prove not only did he tell them that lie that he didn't know how to do it, they were able to prove that he had set up these systems for other people. The testimony by certain witnesses should have been suppressed, that they were not certified to actually do a forensic examination of Josh Duggar's computers and hard drives. Every one of those who looked at thumb drives, hard drives, computers, the network, all of it, the router, all of that information had all been certified through the EXIF, which is the actual program itself and the training program that is offered through Quantico, Virginia, the FBI, academy there in Quantico. It is also offered through the CIA, who then send their agents, and forensic experts to the same program, and it's taught at Quantico. Each and every one of them had not only certification, their certifications were up to date, and they knew exactly what they were doing. And a couple of these people, that is all they do is forensic examination of computers and thumb drives and such networks. But they're saying, Josh Duggar's attorneys are saying that they are not qualified to actually, be able to look at this stuff. And therefore they want that evidence suppressed. And it should have been suppressed when they brought it up in the actual case itself. The third thing is people who were there that day as part of the raid were not qualified to offer their expert opinion or their examination of where the information was and how it was found. Along with that they were not, Josh Duggar and his attorneys were not offered or afforded the option to argue that Caleb Williams was the one who actually downloaded the pornography. To give you a little bit of background to refresh your memory on this, the day the still images and the video image of Daisy, the little girl, all that was paid for and downloaded from the internet. Josh Duggar accessed his bank account beforehand, right afterwards, purchasing, beforehand to purchase cryptocurrency. Then afterwards, he checked his own business account. He's arguing, and his attorneys want to argue that Caleb Williams was the one that actually downloaded this stuff, and that he's the person that they should have went after and not himself. During this actual date of the downloads itself, Caleb Williams wasn't even in the state. He was out of state for work at that time. So he has an alibi that he wasn't there on the actual date itself, but his attorneys wanted to argue that Caleb Williams did this remotely, downloaded the stuff to Josh Duggar's computer when he never had access to any of those computers that they actually found the still photography on, the videos on, and the message board apps where Josh Duggar had been talking about and searching for actual. But they say that we have the right to appeal this because we weren't able to argue that actual defense. The fourth and final one, which is kind of a side note, is that the FBI agent, when they came to the actual wholesale dealership that day, removed Josh Duggar's cell phone from his pocket, and they frisked him without reading him his Miranda rights. That his Miranda rights were read after he got into the vehicle and the conversation started. That everything should be tossed because he wasn't Mirandized beforehand. Now, the officer searched him, and patted him down and removed his cell phone because, well, that's procedure. To make sure he doesn't have any weapons on him. They don't want to put an armed suspect in a vehicle with them to have a conversation, a friendly conversation, I might add. Josh Duggar joked around, carried on conversations, and incriminated himself quite a bit in that conversation. But he says he wasn't Mirandized yet, and he was pat searched and had his cell phone removed. And these are the reasons why Josh Duggar is filing an actual appeal of the decision in the sentencing. So I'd gone through, and each and every one of these, I ran past the attorney who is filed and has quite extensive knowledge of the federal appeals system. And I asked him, what do you think the odds are of Josh Duggar winning on any of these grounds? He couldn't give me a percentage for it, though, but reiterated that the federal government, when it comes to appeals cases, has a 97.35% success rate when it comes to winning, successfully defending appeals. That they don't go through this, the prosecution or anything without knowing every single aspect of the case and being able to document everything that they do. So, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Duggar has finally filed his appeal. It took enough time, but they finally did it. Now, again, the federal government gets to state their reply to the appeal, and then the thing will eventually get put onto the docket, and somebody will eventually have to be assigned it. A judge will be assigned this case for the appeal. Well, That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today. You stay safe out there.